the Left Back FPL League. See how you're doing against everyone here. You can still do that. The code to join that, I believe, is 06S7S8. And those S's are small case. So that's how you can do that. You can also find on our Twitter page that code, and you can find it on our website as well, LeftBackFPL.com. So that's how you can join the league. And then a call out for the people at the bottom of the league. It's still Salad Cream. Only had 2 game weeks, though. 64 points from that man. 98 in total, but a long way adrift from Kufre Robert and Matt Reynolds, who
and just cut out lowest score of this week was a whole 24 points net.
I feel a lot better now.
Who got 24 points?
0.618 or 42.
Name and shame, Matt Reynolds.
Yeah, I know.
Name and shame.
Let's stick with that kind of the.
Be listening to us. If you're there, keep listening. You need to listen to our advice.
I'm followed.
Into the second half of the game. All right, gents, that's our league done. The podcast league covered. That means there's only one more section left for the first half of the show. I can already hear people saying, really? Only one section? It's one clop, one flop. Sean, the John McGinn fanboy, take it away for us.
I tell you, this is one of the most difficult clop and flop that we've done for a long time on both sides. It's very hard to separate out, right? I mean, on the positive side, starting with the clop, you've obviously got Aston Villa, like phenomenal start to the season, another phenomenal result, going away to Leicester. Yes, they left it late, but they'll be happy that they came away with the points. You've got Spurs, who didn't do it overall in terms of the result, but hey, we're playing fantasy football, right? And all the big players got points there. Exactly what you wanted to see. But really, there's one man I can't look past. It's none other, using his wild card this week and picking up 91 points, which is a fantastic score. NVD, you've had a bad start to the season, but you made up for it this week. So
that's very much got to redeem 1 week.
First and last time you'll win it this year, mate.
There you go. At least I can say I won it, once. There you go. That's made my season.
On the other side of it, the flop this week, it's a difficult one as well, right? There was nobody there with a big upset. Yes, you could look, Spurs chucked it away again, but I already said fantasy players, they care about the points. They got that. Liverpool, yes, they'll be annoyed not to hold on and what VAR done to them, but I don't want to go down the route of giving it to VAR again. So I'm kind of stuck here, boys. It's a difficult one to think, and I'm going to actually settle on Leicester, which may seem a bit harsh, right? They're actually sitting 4th in the league, but the last 2 weeks have been pretty poor results and something that they'll be disappointed in, right? After beating Man City 5-2 and then getting beat 3-0 and 1-0 with Villa, that's points they would have been looking to pick up. And, a lot of the players aren't cheap, especially if we've got Vardy in there or something, and they're just not really creating any points, exception being City there. So a bit harsh, but Leicester, you're the flop of the week.
There you go, Leicester City, flop of the week. I mean, they have just scored so many penalties this season, and without the penalties, they are struggling. But like you say, 4th in the table, so struggling is an option as well. Anyhow, thank you, Sean, the John McGinn fanboy. That is the end of part 1, ladies and gents. That's half time. Go get your oranges. Second half, we're going to have a rambling from the dugout, and then we'll go into the game week 6 teams. We'll give Patrick Vieira some advice for the podcast team, and then we'll give you those all-important Captain Contenders. Before we do sign off for the first half, I do want to bring your attention to a special that we've got coming up this week as well. The Fan Focus will be coming out yet again. This week, we are going to be speaking to FPL Tips on Twitter. That's his handle, FPL Tips. And, last 4 years, he's finished in the top 10K a couple of times. So interesting to hear what Harry's got to say. So look out for that later this week. Guys, we will see you in part 2.
Hey.
Welcome to part 2 of Left Back FPL.
Hey. Part 2.
Part 2. Listeners, if you're still with us, you've made it through part 1. You haven't got a migraine yet, and we thank you very much for returning. And for the second half, we are going to have a rambling from the dugout, lads. Before we get into that, I actually had a question that came in on Twitter that I wanted to call out from Sneaky Blinders. And he asked a pretty simple question. How to replicate the same score for gameweek 6, 80 to 100 point range, please.
Well, he's halfway there, right? He's been listening to the podcast. So, if you keep on doing that, you're going to keep getting good scores and get our tips, follow them. Boom, easy game.
Tune in every week.
There you go. Listen to our podcast and you will get it. All of us, apart from most of us, got between that range. So, but listen to NVD. He got 91 points.
The average point for us was 71 points this week, which is above the total average of 60. So
there you go. And you should also listen to the fan focus as well. The ones that we've done, the ones that are upcoming. We've got some golden nuggets of info there from experts. So listen to that as well, lad.
That's a very good call, NVD. There you go then, Sneaky Blinders. Listen to the show. Listen to every single episode, every minute, every second. Get it in your ears. Guys, that said, what's that noise? I can hear the phone ringing. Hello.
Hello. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are we?
We are very well. How are you?
Oh, very well. Philip's always under the rugs. It's just really annoying sometimes. But, Philip, you know what Philip's like, and Charles and those bloody corgis, they get everywhere. Dog shit everywhere. My bloody roses.
Wow.
Anyway.
I think we're amongst royalty. Is this the Queen?
Yeah, you could address me as your Royal Highness. It would be perfectly splendid.
Your Royal Highness. Thank you for ringing the show. I really didn't know that we'd reached the palace. How are you?
Very well. They're not Crystal Palace. They're rubbish. The palace, the Buckingham Palace, of course, yes.
And have you got a question for us, Queen?
I do, yes. I was talking to, Philip, and we're racking our brains. I'm busting out the wild card this week. And one of my biggest issues, apart from Philip, a pain in the arse, is my defence, as I never seem to get any returns from them, which is very different from the taxes I get from you lot, but never mind. I'm thinking of switching to 3-5-2 or 3-4-3. Also, any defender recommendations for my wild card?
Guys, that is the Queen that has just given us a blinding question. And I think we're really going to have to make sure we give some good advice here. So the Queen is going to be playing a wild card this week. Should she be looking at a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3 formation? And are there any defenders that we'd recommend for the wild card? Because she's been having some issues in defence.
Great question, Lizzie. Great question.
What do you think, NVD?
I think formation-wise, Your Majesty, it's got to be 3-5-2. I think there's so many quality midfielders that I think flooding your midfield with 5 is good for returns. We've seen so many midfielders haul across a varying price range as well. You've got your premiums like your Salah, your Mane's, your Sons, through to even the likes of Rodriguez, Grealish, who are under the 8 million mark, have been returning. So yeah, definitely 3-5-2 formation wise. Yeah,
and I mean you've called it out before, right, with the 3 at the back. I think that's been a solid suggestion throughout.
The way things are at the moment, I think it's blatantly obvious that like the less the better at the moment. It's just a goal scoring frenzy at the moment.
Everyone's just struggling to keep a clean sheet, aren't they? Look at Chelsea. You think they should have absolutely annihilated Southampton. They can't keep a clean sheet. Tottenham obviously losing out to West Ham in the last 10 minutes. It's just the game's never over and there's too many goals being scored.
So looking for some defenders we would recommend. Sean John McGinn fanboy, any defenders you could recommend for the wild card for Her Majesty?
I'm loving Wolves at the moment, right? And they've had 2 back-to-back clean sheets, and I mentioned him earlier in the show, but Saïss, I think he's just an athletic, big, strong player, and you saw he's got the power to strike as well, right? So
yeah.
As long as they can get some clean sheets, and looking at their games coming up, right? They've got Newcastle, and then they've got Crystal Palace. So some tasty fixtures there. Hopefully another couple of clean sheets, and if they can get Saïss get an assist on the score sheet, he's stick on the money for me.
There you go then. So Saïss is one of them. He did get that volley in today, as we mentioned earlier in the show. Ricky Pellegrini Another one in Wolves was Kilman that we mentioned. Do you think he's going to be playing regularly? He's only 4 million.
I mean, since he's got in the side, he's earning a lot of bonus points as well. So he's impressing the manager, right? It won't go unnoticed. He obviously got an assist today as well. He's only 4 million. So I think he's going to be the next very, very cheap defender. And that's probably the way to go, isn't it? You want to spend, like MVD was saying, you want to spend your money elsewhere. You want to pack out the midfield.
I mean, surely he's more of a bench filler, is he not? Would you really recommend him, or is there any other defenders you'd be recommending?
I would go for Kilman. It's just a cheap way of getting in defence. I would say steer clear of the defence. Don't put too much money in. I'm sure a lot of people who went for the Robertson-Trent double up have already decided that's not a good idea while Adrian's in goal.
Would you be keeping one of them, though?
I would keep Robertson. He just looks brilliant, doesn't he? Since the start of the season. Trent's not really at the races at the moment. I know he's still going to take the free kicks and he still looks dangerous from that point of view. But yeah, now that Van Dijk's out as well, that's just going to compound on the fact that Alisson's out. So I don't think Liverpool are really going to be keeping too many clean sheets. But yeah, if I was going to choose one, it would be, it's going to be the form player Robertson.
So we've got Robertson, we've got Seiss, it's Captain Russ. Which defender would you recommend?
I'd go for some Leeds players. They're really cheap.
Yeah, I do think the Leeds is a good shout. I'd put their keeper in goal this week based off the fact that they had the best defensive record in the Championship. And I feel like they have been defending fairly well.
Yeah,
like, we watched it against Wolves today. They defend in a pack. And I know they lost 1-0, but...
It was a ricochet as well.
Yeah, it was harsh. I mean, they got a little bit of luck, didn't they, with Seiss being chalked out. But so you're going for one of the Leeds defenders then?
I'd go for Dallas.
So he's going for Dallas. Patrick Vieira, what do you think? Any defenders that taking your fancy?
Well, he's not a cheap one, but I really like Chilwell. No, he got an assist last time and an assist in the goal before that. He would have got more points against Southampton, but he got a yellow card. So, you're right. Chelsea will let in goals, but Chilwell can make that up by, providing the assists.
Yeah, great player.
He does look good.
NVD, round it out. Anything else that we've missed?
I think you called it out earlier in the show in terms of Aston Villa and Martinez, right? In terms of how many clean sheets they've kept out the 4 games they've played. They played one less. Another cheap defender, whether you want to have him as bench filler or as a starter. You got Conte, 4.6 million. He's returned pretty well, to be honest. He's returned like 28 points. Got on the score sheet as well as obviously keeping a clean sheet. And he's only selected by 6.5% of managers. So definitely look to the Aston Villa defence. And, I would say fixture-wise as well. Yeah, not bad fixtures coming up. I mean, all right, Leeds, could be a stalemate. Then they play Southampton. They're both home games. So, I'd look to Aston Villa defenders as well.
Very nice. I like that. That's a great shout. There you go then, the Queenie. Just to give you the lowdown, we're looking at, maybe keeping in a couple of cheapos. So maybe you go for Kilman, who's 4 million. And then, you get a Villa cheap defender at 4.6. They are keeping the clean sheets, as NVD mentioned. And then that allows you to perhaps bring in 3 premiums. And from the premiums, I think Robertson, Seiss, Chilwell have all been called out. I would add in Digne from Everton, Castagna. Still think he's worth a shout. And 3-5-2 is what we collectively feel for your formation. Does that help you sleep better with your corgis at night?
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm so impressed with your knowledge and your background information. I always like the balls in the box, and I will definitely consider that formation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And get off! Corgis, excuse me. I've got to retreat to the garden. Bye.
Bye, Queenie.
Bye.
Fantastic! Wow, boys, we are really hitting the heights. I didn't think we could get much higher than Joe Exotic, and we just had the Queen on.
Amazing!
Wow, it's amazing.
This show knows no limits. Okay, with that said, it's probably the most important part of the show and the whole reason you all tune in, not to hear our nonsense, but to hear our Game Week 6 predictions. Guys, first game of the weekend, Game Week 6, it is Aston Villa versus Leeds. Now, Sean John McGinn fanboy, you looked at this one for us. Do you see any clean sheets in this game?
It depends what Aston Villa is going to turn up, right? What's going to happen? the start of the season, is it sustainable? Are they able to keep that up going forward? And the fact that they've won 4 in a row, I don't think they've ever started better than this.